Hello, Miami. You're watching 305 Sports Now, your home podcast and channel for all things Miami sports related. I am Will.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me.
Hey, what's up, Miami? Thank you so much for watching 305 Sports Now. Once again, I am your host, Will, and we're back at Kane's content creation as this guest, this special guest. You guys know him as the host of the Miami Flow Show. Okay, he is one of the top experts in recruiting and all things Miami Hurricanes. Okay, so you know who I'm talking about because you've seen the thumbnail, and it is welcome to 305 Sports Now, Flow. What's up, my man?
What's good? What's good, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Good. Like I was telling you before the show started, I haven't seen you since Canes Fest.
I know when you told me that, I was like, it's been that long? Like I couldn't.
Yeah, man.
Oh, it's been a while for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but I'm glad to have you back on. Okay, your show is doing phenomenal, and you've just, which we're gonna get to towards the end, but you've pretty much collaborated and formed a powerhouse merger with the very popular You Heard podcast as well, and created For the Culture. So you've been really blessed, man. A lot of success has come your way, dude. So I'm very happy that you're on.
Oh, no, thank you. It's at the end of the day, it's a lot of luck involved. Like you said, blessings, and I enjoy talking Canes football with people that are all for the Canes. And like we talked before the show started, anybody that's for the Canes, I'm always ready to let's chop it up. Let's do it.
Right. Yeah, we're doing a lot of chopping today, so that's pretty much what we're going over. The Canes have got a top 3 class. Okay, after all the composites were done, 247 on 3, we now have a top 3 class. A lot of the people who deserve stars got their stars, their extra star as well. Guys like Booker Pickett, etc., got their star. And but Mario ain't done, man. We all know that one thing: the man doesn't sleep when it comes to recruiting. This past weekend, there were over 100 elite blue chippers in Miami, and you were a part of that. You're a part of that. So, can you explain to us exactly what was going on this past weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say the same thing that I told you before we came on because I thought it was pretty right on point. You guys know in South Florida when you go to the mall, it's like but if you go to the mall during Christmas time, there's like no parking and everyone in the mall is like moving 100 miles an hour. It's almost like you're in New York City downtown when people are trying to get to work. That's what it looked like on campus, to be honest with you guys. I mean, it was a wave after wave after wave, but not just any waves. I mean, you're talking about blue chip monsters, and it's so neat to see the different type of recruiting or different type of players that are on campus now that Mario is being able to be kind of getting his claws into things. He's been here a couple years, different body types, right? Different characters. It's interesting to me to see that. Plus all the guys they're bringing through the back door, you see all the waves that come in so everybody can get a picture and all that. But as you heard, and you're still hearing, there's some guys that popped up. They're like, I didn't even know he was there. I didn't see him. You're hearing people report, I didn't know. I just found out that he was there. And, that's a Mario special 101. And plus, and I think what kills recruiting for us in a good way, like we kill it, is when you can bring a tournament like Battle right down the street. It's a free show for Miami because it's like, sure, you guys are here in town. They contact them, come on campus. Let's do a walkthrough. Let us show you the campus. I mean, it's a home run to have that type of tournament where you have all those really good players, and then it's just a quick drive down the street to Coral Gables, and then now you get chaperoned around, you get shown around like a tour guide of our campus, and it was a beautiful day that day too, so that helps a lot because everywhere else it was like snowing and freezing in the country. But overall, it's Mario taking advantage of South Florida, taking advantage of his recruiting that he's been putting in, because a lot of these guys, remember, he's built these relationships for a while now. And it's not that he just called them 2 weeks before and go, hey, by the way, would you like to come see Miami? That's not how this works. This is reaping the benefits of being on the trail hardcore. And you guys know he's a vampire, right? He doesn't even sleep. So that's him.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And he's done a good job of establishing relationships. For example, one of the major one of the major stars of the battle tournament was Luke Nickel. And one of the main reasons why Luke Nickel is a hardcore Miami Hurricanes commit is because Mario had been looking at him since I believe since the 8th or 9th grade when he was in Georgia. Can you tell us a little bit about what you saw in that tournament as far as Luke Nickel goes and other possible Canes commits? Because I heard that they really showed out.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's nice to see when you and Mario's been good at this. And I say Mario, when I say Mario, I mean the whole evaluation team at Miami. Their evals, their early evals, for the most part, have been on point, you know. And I think when you're talking about Luke, first, I believe, and I've been saying this for a couple of years, Georgia high school has been climbing and climbing. I'm talking about the actual level and depth in their level. Georgia's always had good football, high school football, but it would be like 6 to 8 teams, right? And then after that, it'd be a little bit of a drop, you know, like in South Florida or Florida, I should say. There's, 10 to 14 teams that you're like, whoa, there's some dudes there. Well, guess what? Georgia high school is starting to get to that 10 to 14 teams where there's dudes across dudes on the team. And when you're successful there, you win a state championship there. But not only win it, you look good doing it. And it's not even your senior year, it's your junior year, and you win the state championship in the highest class possible. I think it's 7A in Georgia, if I'm not crazy. That immediately tells you our eval was really good, and we got a chance to see him live here this year because he came to play Western. It was a little bit rainy that day. Kid's accurate. The thing that you've noticed about him since the last time I saw him was he's starting to put a little size on, which is good. He's all a 6'2", 6'2.5", good arm, but very intelligent, very accurate. He's being coached by Cam, so he gets a lot of promotion because Cam Newton, he's very flamboyant and stuff like that. But all the stuff is checking out on the eval. I'm not a big fan of what happens right now, to be honest. I'm more of a fan. I want to see what you do in your senior year, but he's on the trajectory that it's like Miami just knocked it out of the park with him. And other guys that were there, I mean, Pickett is just different. He is a must get. Every cycle to me, there's a must get. And I think Pickett is the must get. There's a few guys, anyone can name him, like, yeah, he's really good. He's really good. Miami should get him. But I think Pickett is all world. When I say all world, I mean, he could play wide receiver. He can play corner. He can play safety. His body type. I don't know why they list him at 6'2". He is not 6'2". That needs to be updated. He is much taller than 6'2", and he moves like a smaller guy, and he's long. This is a must get. I think he's Miami's to lose personally. At this time last year, I told everybody I think JoJo is Miami's to lose, and they laughed at me. Well, I'm going to tell you the same thing. I think Pickett is Miami's to lose, meaning as long as they do everything right, they don't mess up the recruitment, they don't lie to him, which we don't do. I think Pickett ends up orange and green, and that would be a pillar of this class. Then you have a bunch of wide receivers running around. I mean, you take your pick. This class is a little deeper than last class at wide receiver. I think last class goes to like 5 to 6 deep, where you were like, I'd take any of these guys and I'm good. I think this class goes between 6 and 8, 6 and 9, maybe even 6 and 10, where you're like, you give me any combination of 3 of those guys, and I'm super, super happy. I know everyone's talking about French, the long guy. I think that's going to be the long game with the long guy. I'll say it like that. We got a couple local guys with, Cortez Mills, who's just as smooth as silk running routes. There's just so many guys. There was a guy that really impressed me that is currently committed to LSU. I thought he was the best player out there other than Pickett. His name is DeCorian Moore. To me, I thought I was watching mini Tyreek Hill. If anybody that's watching this, if you saw the battle, I guarantee you're going to be like, that dude is box office. I mean, I think the rankings, I don't pay attention too much, but they were telling me he's either the 1 or 2 best receiver in the country. I didn't know much about him other than seeing some tape of him. Seeing him live, this guy is, I mean, Miami's going to try. He's an LSU commit currently, which means what in January? It means nothing, right? None of the commitments mean anything right now. Let's keep honest. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think Miami and Kevin Beard and Coach Cristobal and everybody is going to chip away at this guy. The only other guy that I think is similar to this guy, not this guy, but he's similar, was a guy named Vernell Brown, who is out of the Jones High School over in, I think it's Orlando. Yeah. He's very similar, little twitchy guy, you know, a guy that like if you put him in a phone booth, you can't touch him. That's how quick he is. I'd say he's like a better version of that guy. But if you end up with Verno Brown, it's either Virgil or Vermo Brown. I don't remember, but his last name is Brown. He goes to Jones High School. He's really, really twitchy. He's another one that I know Miami's on. But wide receivers, I mean, flip a coin. I'm telling you, 100% will. Any of the three we get that are in the top 8 to 10 are going to be home runs. That's how deep this class is at wide receiver.
Yeah, well, Waden Charles was one of the earlier commits, and he was a stud. He didn't get early recognition because he was from Pembroke Pines, Pembroke Pines, Florida, until later on, and he commits to Miami. And we're very happy that he committed because I've seen his height. He could blow the top off of anybody. He's also very shifty, great hands as well. His I think it was his cousin was one of the first to tell me, you got to do a story on my cousin on Waden Charles, and that's how I found out about him. And I looked at him and I was like, holy crap.
Yep.
And so on. So it's amazing. So yeah, DJ Pickett, I was going to say that if you want to see how good he is as a wide receiver, check out his huddle. He has absolute great hands, very good field awareness as well of where he is, in terms of the boundaries. And on top of that, which also I believe makes him a better defender because he's able to challenge 50-50 balls and actually get a pick, not just bat the ball down. There used to be a phrase by John Madden that he used to say, is like, that's why they play defense. That's not what this kid. DJ Pickett has solid hands, so he's going to be an amazing ball hawk if he does commit to the U. And even though I've looked at predictions and they don't have him going to the University of Miami, I think he is Miami's to lose. I think Miami has a good shot at him. And the Pickett family likes UM and they like what Mario's building as well. Booker wasn't even a Canes fan growing up. His father told Dono, and look what happened. They landed him. With a lot of pushing and and taking time and checking up on him, but they landed him. So I don't see why they can't land DJ.
I agree with you. I agree. And one more thing I want to add on DJ. The thing that's interesting for when you understand biomechanics on an athlete, you look to see if they're knee benders or hip benders, and usually the taller or the longer they are, the more they bend at the hips. It's not terrible, but it's not ideal. DJ, when he changes direction, its knees are flexed the entire time. It's a natural movement for him. It's not something that he's going to have to actually work on. That's freak of nature stuff. That's just like God-given, where you don't have to work on your fundamental how to change direction. Because remember, when you're moving in a certain direction and you're longer, I mean, you do it when you're short, but you see it more with the taller guys, is when they go change, they go up and then they go to turn, right? And then bend at the hips. This guy just literally will plant, knee flexed, and open his hip with the opposite leg is knee flexed. You don't see that at that size. He's a freak. He's a freak.
Another freak is Tarvis TJ Alford. He's been crystal ball to Florida, but I do think Miami is a lot more in than what a lot of these composite commentators and writers are saying. Tell us a little bit about TJ, because he's making a lot of noise, not just here in Coral Gables, but also making a lot of noise nationally.
Yeah, I think the main thing with him, I mean, you can go look at his huddle, you can go hear all the interviews about him, but I'll give you a different perspective of stuff that I've been hearing about people that I respect. And that doesn't mean I don't listen to other people, but if someone like, for example, like Bluestein says something, he's seen a million. You're going to listen to him a little more. You're going to see someone who's been in the game like 5. It's the mentality with this guy, his mentality. And you don't hear that too much with, kids. I say kids respectfully, 16, 17, maybe even 18 years old. They need development. They need maturity. They need, what is this like a job to you, or is this just a stupid game that you don't care about, that once you leave the field, you're back to other things? I've been hearing from guys that I really like, wow, he really believe that he's got the mentality of someone that's already playing college football. And you need that in some of your recruits. You need that character in some of your recruits. So I'm not going to get into much of go watch his huddle. I mean, the guy's he's literally everything you want, I just think that what has not been talked about from stuff I've seen or heard is that his mentality is very advanced, for his age. And they think that he has the capacity to just put a lot more in there. And you already see what kind of athlete he is.
Yeah, no, I mean, he looks like an absolute beast. He's like a man amongst boys as well. I mean, he's just absolutely large. I mean, him and Elijah will look really good together on the field. Elijah Menendez, who's just another flat-out stud and another hard commit. Yeah, yeah, and the funny thing is too is that he also played running back first. He's a natural running back before he became an actual linebacker, which I also think helps them because he knows the angles that running backs are going to take as far as if they're going to, go outside, or they're going to go, between the tackles. So I think that makes him a very good football player. The genetics on that kid is unbelievable. He's a junior in high school. He's 6'2", 225 pounds.
Tell
I
me,
mean,
tell me he doesn't like contact. Tell me that guy doesn't like. He looks for it. Like you see him in the huddle, like looking to just run into somebody, even if the play's going away from him. Yeah, that's a. I mean, I know we hear and we use this very often. Like we just throw it around, but tell me that's not a Mario guy.
Oh, definitely. Mario likes the SEC body type on his defensive players. He likes you're quick, but you're also not going to get run over as well. Whereas the previous coaching staff liked a more leaner, quicker type of linebacker, which in many cases got you in trouble when you faced a very physical running back, whether it be Kenneth Walker. Yes. Rutgers as well. Yeah, Rutgers as well.
Remember what happened in the bowl game?
Oh my God, man.
we looked like we were bouncing off people.
I know.
Like our DBs and our outside linebacker look like bing, bing.
Yeah. But that's what happens when you miss a guy like Cam. A guy like Cam, James Williams that are bigger guys that could probably take the punishment, from those. Markeith Williams, he's going to be a good player, man. But
he tried. He was there. That kid in the right spot, but pobrecito.
Yeah, like no, the guy's gonna play in the NFL. Rutgers had a very underrated running game too. A lot of us didn't give him a lot of credit. Myself included. They're very, very, very talented. They ran all over Ohio State. Which is an 11-1 team. A lot of people don't remember that, but yeah, that's the kind of you need those kind of big bodies that could take that kind of punishment and deliver it as well. So that's certainly true. Moving on to the schedule. Okay, we talked about recruiting. Moving on to the schedule. The Miami Hurricanes in the 2024 season have a interesting schedule. I think every game is winnable as far as the record goes, especially when you pick up a quarterback like Cam Ward and your wide receivers are, especially the young ones, are a year in. Your running back room is very stacked, and your offensive line is expected to produce just as well in the 2024 season as it did in the 2023 season. How do you see the schedule? What is your perspective on the schedule? I didn't give a prediction as far as wins and losses, but I do think we should get 10 wins at least. So how do you see the schedule? What's your perspective? And do you have any trap teams that we should kind of keep an eye on?
Yeah, I think, and it's, I'm just going to say it on your show. It's kind of annoying to me that a lot of our fan base, and I'm included, I don't look at it, but I'm part of the fan base, so I got to put myself in it, is looking at the teams on the schedule, and they're looking at them like those teams were last year. And I feel like we do a big homework on our team. What additions and subtractions do we do on our team? But we're not looking at Syracuse. We think of Syracuse from last year. We're not looking at Syracuse as who's on that coaching staff now. Who did they bring in, in the transfer portal, right? We're playing them at the end of the year at their house. If we look at it, that's Syracuse. Yeah, you're right. That's not Syracuse from a personnel standpoint moving into 2024. We look at a team like Louisville. Oh, we should have beat them. Great. Look at the moves they've made. And we have to go to their house and play them in their house, right? It's not like Louisville will just outmuscle. All we got to do is not throw interceptions and we'll beat them. Listen, I really like what they did in the transfer portal. They stacked that running back room. They stacked the wide receiver room. They got more guys in the trenches. And I believe he is the best X's and O's coach in the ACC. And he proved it against us, like what he did to us from a scheme standpoint. Those two games stick out to me because I hear, and the Georgia Tech game, last time I checked, we lost to Georgia Tech at home last year. Yes, we've gotten significantly better, but so have they. And we're like, yeah, that's a W because we should have, but we didn't. We should have been, but we didn't. The one team to me that's taken a step back that beat us is Florida State. Clearly, I don't think they have the roster they had last year. Clearly, I thought we would boom them last year, and we played with a true freshman quarterback through 2 minutes in the game, could have almost tied the game, and they were undefeated at the point. So I think they're not as good as they were last year, and we're much better. I'm not as worried about that game as I normally would be. It's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. but here's the one that I want to get to. I know you spoke, and I'll let you talk about the team that you think is a trap game.
Okay.
My trap game to me is Virginia Tech on a Friday night. That's a trap game. Third season with that coach. They're going in the right direction. They don't have the players that play with us. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and tell you they're a roster, but they're going in the right direction. They got a quarterback that can give us some problems. They started really coming into his own last year. It's a Friday night game, and I think it's the Friday night game before we travel to Cal, if I'm not wrong. It's right around that time, I think. Oh, the other thing that I want to get to before I get it, I couldn't believe that we had 2 bye weeks.
Yeah.
I had to look at that like 10 times and then even ask people, is that accurate? Like, the advantage we have is the bye week is in between. In my opinion, that's really good is we have the bye week before Louisville, which I love that a lot.
Yes, let's off.
Tell me about the Virginia Tech game because I see you're looking at it. Am I crazy?
Yeah. We play Virginia Tech. We play Virginia Tech the 27th. Then the following week is a Saturday is against Cal. Then we have the bye week against Louisville. So it's Virginia Tech, then Cal. I'm looking at it right now.
Yep. I don't like that game. I mean, I think we're way better across the board than they are. That game scares me. Traditionally, they give us fits. Yeah. I think that they're establishing their culture there too. They're going to be a hard-nosed team with a quarterback that can make some plays. And I think we might be looking ahead to traveling to Cal. That game got me weird. So the overall schedule for me, just to bring it in, like to bring this back full circle, is I think it's stronger than people think. I do agree with you. I think all the games are winnable, though. There's not one game that I'm like, we have to play elite just to have a chance. I don't see that in this schedule. And you look, they're not going to like that I'm going to say this, but you got to flip a coin against Florida. It's the first game of the year in the Swamp. No one knows anything. There's too much assumption. They're not going to be as good. Did you see their schedule? Yeah, but they haven't gotten to their schedule. We're seeing them when they're so excited to play, when they know it's a do or die year. They know they have probably the hardest schedule in the history of football.
Yeah,
right,
poor guys.
I mean, Potosito, they got
hosed.
They're gone. You know, I would be so sad if I had that schedule. And they're big. Like, if you go look at that roster, that's an SEC sized team. They got a veteran quarterback coming back. I do not think they have the playmakers that they have had. You know, losing ETN to Georgia, that's a massive loss for them. But it's in the Swamp. It's first game of the year. We got a new quarterback that we're breaking in. You know, it could be a dogfight. I mean, I do like our team in the game, but I'm nervous. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know how many wins right now. I like to make my prediction after fall camp when I know what kind of injuries we're gonna get. But I don't think it's crazy to expect 10 right now. Like, just looking at around, even though teams are gonna make a lot more additions after spring, all the teams will, just like we will. On paper right now, I can see 10. I'm more leaning on 9, but let's see what we look like after fall, like what our team looks like after fall, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I see 10 on paper. You know, obviously there's additions. And a lot of people, when Georgia Tech beat us, they were very upset because of what we did to Georgia Tech the year before. Mm-hmm. And Georgia Tech had a really bad defense. What a lot of people forget is they also changed coordinators at the time. And that kind of sparked Georgia Tech a bit as well. And Georgia Tech was better from a personnel standpoint than they were the year prior. Yep. Haynes King was a 5-star quarterback coming out of Texas A&M. Let's not forget that. You know, so I wasn't surprised. So when Miami was like a 21-point favorite, I think at the time, I'm like, I'll give them 10. Yeah. It's an ACC team. They've always played us tough. So I wasn't surprised that they gave us such a fight. I didn't expect to lose. I'm not gonna lie to you. Mm-hmm. But on paper, I see the schedule now as a 10. You know, as a 10-win season. I also think, for the sake of the program, you need to take the third year needs to be more of a Mike Norvell jump in which they won 10 games, because I do think it's good for the program and the onlook going forward. Mario's third year, he's got some guys in already. He's revamped the roster in his image a bit more. Mm-hmm. So 10 would be, I think, the best jump, you know, over past 7. So that's the reason why I'm picking 10 games. 9 is fine with me too, but I think with a bowl victory, you get your 10. Correct. My trap game is Cal. Virginia Tech is gonna be a tough one. They always play Miami tough. It doesn't matter if Miami's good. When Miami had good football teams, they still played Miami tough. They're just a physical team by nature. But my trap game is Cal. Traveling to the West Coast, not very common, in today's college football to do something like that, like it was back in the late 90s and early 2000s when Miami would go to UCLA or go to Washington. That's not happening as much. So to do that, I do think that's a game we need to be careful with. I know Cal hasn't been very good, but I was hearing on Donald's show and Locked On Canes that they have a pretty talented running back. So we have to be, we have to be worried about that as far as it goes. So that'll be my trap game that everyone thinks we're going to win, but I do think we need to be careful with, And of course, you have the bye week, and we don't do well in bye weeks. So that kind of scares me. Afterward, we always tend to suffer on that one. So that's just my take, for the 2024 season. But I have a more wins and loss projection when everything is set after spring ball. That's the way I'm looking at it, because I'm not getting playing time. I'm gone. I'm going to another school.
That's happening, brother. You already know that's coming. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I don't like it. I don't like my playing time. I'm third string. I'm gone. Or another school. The coach is like, listen, like they told that poor quarterback from NC State, we kind of want you to leave.
Yep. No, listen. We're 8 over right now. Right now we're 8 over. Yeah. You're gonna take at least a couple after spring, so you have to get rid of at least 10 after spring just to be at 85 for fall. Which that's when you have to be at the 85 is at the start of fall camp. So we are literally at 8 over right this second, and it's pretty well known that they're looking for a receiver, right? And then best available other than that. So let's say they only take 2 after spring. That's still 10 guys that got to go.
Yeah,
that's and you're gonna miss some of those guys are gonna be like, man, I thought he could have contributed, but he would be in the third rotation here when he can go over there and be in. That's happening. That's 100% going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and it's happened. It's happened quite a bit, as well. We see Martin has a good retention rate though, but I do agree for being 8 over, I think you're going to see some guys that are going to look for other places to play. And the wonderful thing about this coaching staff, and I want the listeners to remember, is that Coach Cristobal does help these kids find other schools.
Yep.
He did it for Vincent Schaefer's when they couldn't find room for him in this class because they're getting a Darius Hayes. He's the one that got, he made the phone call to Nebraska and he ended up going to Nebraska and becoming there and signing with them. So he will help him find schools. He's not just going to throw him out into pasture. He will help him find schools, and that's a good thing, as far as our coaching staff goes. A lot of kids, and I've spoken to a couple parents, what they like about this coaching staff is that they're always honest with them, and they always try to look out what's best for them. That's what for example, Popo's dad, told me. He said, Mario's straightforward. You're going to compete. Straight up with the kids. I can't find room for you. I'll take. Well, you might fit in this scheme. Yep. So he's very straight up, and that's why he retains a lot of his recruits.
No, I agree with you. I like to bring up, because we talk about, losses or maybe they weren't good enough. Like Kobe Young wanted to come back. He just wanted X amount of money. The staff believed so much in their development in Horton, who's behind him, and said, we're not going to give you that much, but we'll help you find a spot, because we like the guy. We think what you're getting is fair, and we like the guy behind you. He's at Georgia. For everyone who's complaining about our wide, he just went to Georgia. This is real. This is the kind of stuff that's starting to happen from a personnel standpoint. I mean, Brashard and Chaney went to Louisville, who was in the ACC championship game last year.
Yeah.
I mean, there's guys that are contributing that are not going to, Texas, QST military school. Like, our guys that are contributing are going to good, solid P5 or elite Power 5 programs. That tells you what's behind them. I mean, Brashard left because X came back, at the end of the day. I mean, I know there was some other stuff going on, but I think he would have stayed if X would have went to the NFL. And X said, I'm coming back. So Brashard's like, deuces. I'm not going to stay behind him, And now he's at Louisville with that scheme. I bet you Brashard goes off. It's not always just a negative. I think it's a positive.
Brashard's, I believe, in SMU. Brashard's Jaleel and Chaney went to Louisville, and Brashard went to SMU.
You're right. You're 100% right. I'm wrong. Rhett Lashley.
Yeah.
How do you think he's going to use Brashard? You know what I mean?
Very well.
I think, I don't know if you're on this boat, but I've always why isn't this guy getting more touches?
Yeah.
Like
No, I
it
agree
blew.
with you.
Why is
I
this
totally
guy
agree
not
with you.
getting more touches? Good for him. I think he'll kill it. Actually, I like him better at SMU because Lashley already knows him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm totally in
Mhm.
agreement with you. Okay, so one of the things I want to tell you about, we talked about before the show, and I congratulated you on, and also when we started, is your collaboration with good friends of the show with Benny and Joe from the You Heard podcast. It's called you guys air, if I'm not mistaken, live Monday nights at 9, right?
Every other Monday. We do
Every
every
other
other
Monday.
Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, around 9 p.m. I love the name. All right, for the culture. Okay, and it's a nice merger. It's great combination. You guys are great at what you do in terms of bringing Keen's
Thank you.
content and your insights. Love it.
Thank you.
I've commented a few times when you guys are on, so I can tell you. How did that come about? I know you did. You heard about a month ago, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden you guys emerged up. So how did that come about?
So I've known Joe for a while because his son used to play here, right? So I've known Joe for quite a bit of time, and when he comes in town, he would always hit me up. We'd do dinner or whatever. And when him and Benny started the podcast, I was like, these guys are gonna kill it. I mean, they're really good at what they do. I just like the flavor. When I watch them, I think Miami. I don't know. Like I watch their podcast, I'm like, those guys sound like Miami guys,
Yeah,
and I just really enjoy them. I think they're funny. I think they're really good at prepping and they do their social media good. I have to give them nothing but credit. And then they reached out. They asked me to come on the show once, or I asked. Oh, I think I brought them on once the first time so they can promote their show. And we stayed on after, just chopping it up. And next thing you know, we're like, dude, and they're like, hey, we really like this, and I was like, listen, let's do this. Let's go ahead and do it. Maybe not every week, you know, but like let's do it everywhere. And then I can tell you that AO, and then Benny and Joe, they ran with it. Like I didn't think of that name. That was one of them that thought about that name, and I was like, that's a great name. I love that name. The graphics, all that. I would love to take credit. I can't take no credit for them, man. I mean, I was just happy. I'm happy to be on the team. You know what I mean? And I enjoy talking with them because it's literally like four guys sitting at the bar just talking Canes football. When you talk with them, yeah, we prep. We kind of know what we want to talk about, but it usually goes and we just talk and laugh and we talk in Spanish. We make fun of each other. It's really like that. There's no stress, and they're good. They're good at what they do. They're prepared. They're gonna kill it. They're just scratching the surface. I think they're gonna do great things. And everyone they collab with, I think CB does a good job. They bring on great guests. I mean, I think you've been with them. I think the world of them. I think they're gonna probably be the best, coming up because they're just killing it.
yeah, they love Canes football,
Yep.
and they have such integrity because they will never bash a kid
Mm-hmm.
on their show either, nor they would bring someone on that's known for being toxic to the kids either. So they love football. And Benny, we talked off camera. Hope he doesn't mind me saying he has big plans for You Heard.
Yep.
He has a lot of big plans for You Heard, and it's admirable because the one thing about mainstream sports media is that you never could tell whether they're sincere.
Mm-hmm.
They're sincere in what they're saying. Basically, at times they come across that you don't believe what they're saying. Like I don't believe something what Skip Bayless says. I don't believe sometimes, is very truthful about what he says. Even Colin Cowherd, he makes good arguments sometimes, but I just think that he likes, does things for attention because he knows it'll rile up a fan base,
Right.
as well. We're not like that. What you hear on our shows, yours, myself, You Heard, we're flat out telling the truth about how we feel about the Canes and the climate of the university and college football in general. And I think that's a brand of fresh air that a lot of audiences like because you're getting the authentic person, not, some made up caricature that ESPN may want or something. So I think that's good. And we've talked about it. That's why in the end, people like yourself, people like myself, and people like Benny, they give a little shout out to over to the folks over at Finn Sports Talk I've spoken with as well. We're the future, man, of sports media. Whether
I get
like
the
it or not.
question a lot though. Will they're like, what do you? And I always tell them, well, it depends what your niche is. Everybody has a different niche,
Yeah.
how they do it. But the advice I give the new guys or girls that are coming up that like it, what they're doing and they're doing well is and then they turn their head, and some people that watch the show are going to turn their head, but I want you to think about it before you just react. Don't get credentialed. If you
Really?
get credentialed, yeah, because once you get credentialed, you only are previewed. For me, my niche is recruiting and info. That's me.
Yeah.
No, so you're not going to get what you used to get. You just won't, you're going to get what everybody else gets, and you're going to have to write and have podcasts on what everybody else does. Nothing wrong with that if that's what you do, right? Nothing wrong with that. Now, who does it better, right? For me, in my world, like I'm in recruiting, I can get because I know what's going to happen. Doors start closing really quick, and because especially with our coach, shout out to Mario, especially with our coach. And I know that certain credential media don't feel that way, but I promise you that's accurate when it comes from an information standpoint. Very, 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 very sure on this. But then that just puts you in a different niche, which is fine. This is what we're getting. Who reports it better? Who writes it up better? Who delivers it better to the audience? There's nothing wrong with that. But I found that most content creators that are coming up in the last few years, like you said, the rawness and the stuff that they say, it comes from a genuine, non-filtered place. And I think that's why people watch your show and people watch You Heard and the people that watch us. And, shout out to, I think there's a lot of guys that do a good job. Like I feel that just because you're credentialed doesn't mean you're not good. That's not what I'm saying, but it's how you deliver the information if you're credentialed. And I think that's why everybody's always making fun of like the big sites because they get mad. But guess what? You're still listening to them. So you must like what they're saying, or else why are you criticizing them? I'm friends with all of them. I got no issues with them. I talk to a bunch of them all the time, but they reach out to some of us for information, and there's a reason for that, and they know who they are. There's no hiding behind it. I think the trick is if you have your niche and your niche isn't, where you're just trying to write better or do a better podcast than everybody else, don't get credentialed, because as soon as you get credentialed, you get put in a certain box. I've seen it happen to a lot of people. And surround yourself with good people, man. That's the obvious answer. Like, have good people with you. We all need help at the end of the day. Even when we collab, that's help. We're helping each other. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to, hey, come on my show, I'll come on your show. What do you got? Hey, let's talk about this. They like how we talk together. Let's do more of this. It's not about I'm the greatest or we're the best that's where you get caught up. When I first got in the game, there was a lot of that going on. There was YouTubers trying to kill each other. They were trying to kill each other.
I've heard. No, I heard.
And I didn't understand it. I was going on all their shows. I had no issues with nobody. And I was like, that's between you guys. Like, I don't understand why, like, we're on the same team, bro. Like, why do we care?
Yeah, the thing is, too, we're not really in competition. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I look at your show and I look at what Benny's doing and so on, as far as You Heard. And it's kind of like there's a phrase we have in, you're probably going to laugh when I say this. As a teacher, there's a phrase we have is like, good teachers steal.
No,
that
I
means
know what
is
you're
like,
saying.
yeah, we get ideas from each other, and like I was telling you, before we started the show, one thing I like about CB, and he's got a lock on it, is that he's the recruit guy. He recruits reach out to him, and he's built such a following that recruits, they just go on the show, he watches videos with them. That's awesome.
That is a great niche.
So, and one thing I wanted to say was I want to do more collaboration, with people like yourself and Benny and Joe and CB and also Dolphin content creators as well. Because in the end of the day, we're not really in competition. We're not part of a major network. We're not on at the same time slot. We're not under contractual agreement. So why not just
look at it that way? I'm asking you a question. Like, seriously, why would you look at me or me and you like, I need to be better than you? Like, if we're doing this, if we're on the same team, like you love Miami Hurricanes. I love Miami Hurricanes. So why do we compete? I don't understand that. Like, for me, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. It really doesn't.
It used to be like, hey, you can't, I'm not going to mention, but they used to be like, hey, you can't go on at this time because this is the time that I come on. What are you talking about? Like, I mean, Coop used to get pissed at people. Shout out to Coach Coop. He used to be like, I'm going to come on whenever I want to come on. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm having nothing against you. Like, we're good. We're all, and then he actually said, make better content if you don't want them to watch me. Coach Coop is awesome, by the way.
I know. I've met him before.
One of the best. He's definitely one of the best in the game. Shout out Coach Coop.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that's just what I'm saying. Like, like I said, we're not in competition. If anything, if you're on live and I'm on live at the same time, if they want to watch you, it gets recorded on YouTube. You can watch
Yep.
you can watch it after. I've done that several times with your show, with you heard when I
Yep.
can't watch you guys live.
I do the same.
So
I do
yeah,
the
so
same.
yeah, I really don't get it. I really don't get it. So but people need to like, get over themselves just a little bit.
Bro, just have fun. Just have fun. Stop being so serious about everything.
Yeah.
Let's just hope our team does good so we have more stuff to talk about.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. Flo, thank you again for joining us. It's great to having you on. Let's make this more of an occurrence. I like having you on. I like your insight, your knowledge on recruiting, and what you bring to the table. But where can we find you? For the audience that just discovered you.
I'm easy. My Gmail. I don't know why it didn't work earlier. It's Miami Flow Football at Gmail. Real easy. And then on Twitter, it is private. My account is private, but I also have another account that is not private, but it's Miami Flow 305. On X. Sorry, Twitter. I'm old. I think it's Twitter for me. And then our channel has shows all for everybody. Everybody does their own thing, their own niche. If you like, if you're more of a fan, a tailgate guy, we have that. If you want a guy that breaks down stuff, we have that. If you want recruiting, who I think they're the best at because they get it before anybody gets it, is Dave. I think Dave and Rasta for the Sebastian Lane show. I got nothing but respect for them, how hard they grind and what they do. And then you got Max, like that just shoots the shit and brings up common, current events. And then we're doing stuff with you, Herb. We're gonna do stuff with you. I know I'm doing stuff with Coach Hayes. Like it's you can find me all over YouTube, just like they're gonna find you all over too. I might be on your show, I might be on my own channel, I might be on Coach Hayes' channel, but we're always talking Hurricane football, man. At the end of the day.
All right. Again, Flo, great job, great content, great network too, great guy. All right,
appreciate you, bro.
No, I appreciate you as well. Again, let's have. I'm gonna have you on more often. Especially before spring, we talk a little bit about football as well and what we saw in spring game. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you heard, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to 5 Sports Now. Once again, I am Will. For Flo, stay safe. God bless. See you soon. Okay. Bye-bye, guys.